Shalom everybody, let's do the blessing for the counting of the Omer. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat haomer hayom yom 45. Blessed are you, Yahuwah Elohua, King of the universe, who sanctified us and commanded us to count the Omer on this day, day 45.
Shalom, beloveds of the King. Praise Abba Yahuwah. Yes, as we are in this time of where we are counting down, 5 days left to go, and Abba is doing mighty and great things amongst us as we continue to be able to look into this book of Jeremiah, and I stand in awe of the mighty and powerful word that truly Abba brought yesterday in this Jeremiah 46, as it was just amazing how Abba was the one who led all the way and he did what needed to be done. And so he will open up these scriptures to us and he will be the one to reveal to us the deeper truths that we need to understand and know through the scriptures that we are reading, because you see there is a dual purpose to these scriptures, and one is, yes, it has been, but yes, it shall surely come to pass once again. And this is why we need to be open in this time in order to be able to understand that Father is speaking a mighty word in this hour. And the word that he's speaking is that he is the one that is wanting to be able to open up the eyes and open up the ears of our understanding. We need to have the eyes of our understanding to be able to understand the deeper revelation of the things that the Father is saying. And at the end of the day, we need to understand that as we are reading through these scriptures, it is amazing when we really know the books of the prophets so that we can have these scriptures being tied in, because what he has spoken to Jeremiah, he is written in many of the other prophets, and some of the other prophets, Jeremiah is speaking for then, for that what was going on there, but a lot of the other prophets are speaking for prophetic things of the end times, very similar things that has been spoken. So let us read Jeremiah 47. And so the word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah the prophet concerning the Philistines before Pharaoh struck Gaza. So Gaza is the Gaza. Interesting. Gaza. And isn't it interesting, because isn't the Gaza really a place even today that there's a lot that we hear that comes out of there? So an important place, this Gaza, an important place, the Philistines. So there's no more Philistines, yet we are hearing about Palestinians. So if the Palestinians want to resurrect themselves when the Philistines were to be totally destroyed, and if there's going to be Palestinians and they are going to live in the land of Gaza, then you must understand that this land is to be destroyed, because that is the prophecy that is there. So let us go read Ezekiel chapter 25, verses 15 to 17. So we go read Ezekiel in Ezekiel chapter 25. Ezekiel chapter 25 from verses 17, and it says, let's read from verses 14. And I shall lay my vengeance on Edom by the hand of my people Israel. And they shall do to Edom according to my displeasure and according to my wrath. So they shall know my vengeance, declares the Master Yahuwah. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, because the Philistines have acted in vengeance and took vengeance with scorn in their being, to destroy with lasting enmity. Now, I want you to be reminded of how many times are there those missiles that come out of this little land of Gaza into the land of Eretz Israel. How many missiles do they send out? How many missiles did they send out? Was it just at the end of last year, was at the beginning of this year, when all those missiles were going into the land of Eretz Israel. And so that's why I'm saying you must understand that if there is a people that want to call themselves Philistines, that want to call themselves Palestinians, that are going to raise up, there is only destruction that is to come. And listen to what he says. Therefore, thus said the Master Yahuwah, see, I'm stretching out my hand against the Philistines, and I shall cut off the Kerethites and destroy the remnant of the sea coast, and execute great vengeance on them with raging reproofs. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah when I lay my vengeance upon them. So we must understand. You see, this land of Gaza, the land of Gaza was really given into the hands of Eretz Israel. It was their land because the Philistines were destroyed and the land was given to Israel, and Israel had the land of Gaza. Just like Ashkelon, just like Ashdod, just like Ekron, all that land that belonged to the Philistines, when Israel became a nation, that land was all given to them. But all of a sudden, with this little borders and this land, giving away land for peace, which was the biggest mistake that Israel has done. Since when do you give away land for peace? When the Father is the one that has written the word, and he's the one that said he's going to destroy it. You know what? I am the one that shall bring a destruction upon them. So what he says that he's going to destroy, how dare we decide? How dare they decide that they're going to give away land for peace? And the very land that they gave away, what has come from their doing? What has come from their doing? Nothing but missiles that keep coming into the land of Israel to bring destruction upon the people, where there's no peace upon the people that live in that area, because there is constant missiles being brought into the land of Eretz Israel through that little Gaza place. And so this is for us to see that this is what the Father has spoken. So we continue to read Yirmiyahu. Let us continue our Yirmiyahu, and it says, thus says Yahuwah, see, waters are rising out of the north, and shall be an overflowing flood, and they shall overflow the land and all that is in it, the city, those who dwell within, and men shall cry, and all the inhabitants of the land shall wail. So understand, there is those tsunamis that are going to come. Even in the land of Eretz Israel, I have seen the tsunami that is going to come into the very area of Tel Aviv, where I have seen in the spirit that tsunami that is going to take out that land, and it's eventually going to go all the way up the coast along the north of Israel, that is going to go right up Ashkelon, Ashdod, all those areas, and it will eventually wipe out from Gaza. It will come inland, and it's going to take the land of the north. And so we must understand that these tsunamis are coming, because I have seen them. And that's why there's a lot that gets spoken of, even by the prophets that speak about tsunamis that are going to come, that it's going to take the land, going to take back the land, and it's going to bring much destruction, and it's going to bring much death. And Yaret is saying that it's these floods, but this is going to be the sea that is going to flood into the land. At the noise of the stamping hooves of the strong horses, at the rushing of his chariots, at the rumbling of his wheels, the father shall not look to their children because of the weakness of the hands. So what is that now? That chariots and the horses that are running are the horses that are going to be able to bring the destruction that we read in Zechariah chapter 6, and we read in Revelation chapter 6, that is talking about these horses that are going to run. So let's just quickly look again at Zechariah chapter 6 so that we can have a look at these horses that are going to run. And in Zechariah chapter 6, it is talking about, look and see in Zechariah chapter 6 from verse 1, and it says, I lifted up my eyes again, and I looked, and I saw 4 chariots coming from between the 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of bronze. And the first chariots were red horses, and with the second chariot black horses, and with the third chariot white horses, and with the fourth chariot strong speckled horses. So I responded and said to the messenger who was speaking to me, What are these, my master? And the messenger answered and said to me, These are the 4 spirits of the heavens coming forth from presenting themselves before the master of all the earth. And the one with the black horses is going out to the land of the north, and the white ones have gone out after them, and the speckled ones have gone out to the land of the south, and the strong ones went out eager to go to walk to and fro in the earth. And he said, Go walk to and fro in the earth. So they walked to and fro in the earth, and he called to me and spoke to me, saying, See, those who go towards the land of the north have given rest to my spirit in the land of the north. So do you see how in the land of the north he's talking about the destruction that's going to come with the water, and now the stamping of the hooves, and there is war that is on the horizon. So if we go look at Revelation chapter 6, and in Revelation chapter 6 it talks about how there I saw, when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures saying, like a sound of thunder, come and see. And I looked, and I saw a white horse, and he who sat on it holding a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he who sat out overcoming and to overcome. And when he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, Come and see. And another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was given to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, and that they should slay one another. And a great sword was given to him. And when he opened the third seal, I heard and the third living creature say, Come and see. And I looked, and I saw a black horse, and he who sat on it holding a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 living creatures saying, A measure of wheat for a denarius, and 3 measures of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine. And when he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature saying, Come and see. And I saw, and I looked, and I saw a pale horse, and he who sat on it had the name Death, and Sheol followed with him, and authority was given to them over 1/4 of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with the hunger, and with death, and by the beasts of the earth. And when he opened the 5th seal, I saw under the slaughter place the beings of those having been slain for the word of Allah, and for the witness which they held. So this is what we must understand. There's the rumbling of the horses that are coming. These horses are going to run. There's the chariots that we're reading about in Zechariah chapter 6. And these chariots have a black horse, a white horse, a red horse, a speckled horse. Revelation chapter 6 talks about a white horse, a red horse, a black horse, and a pale horse. So do you understand? These horses are going to run. So let us read in verse 4. Because the day that shall come to ravage all the Philistines, to cut off from Tzor and Sidon every helper that survives, for Yahuwah is ravaging the Philistines, the remnant of the Isles of Caphtor. So if we go look at Zechariah, now do you understand why I say how important it is that we read these books of the prophets, because the prophets are all linked into each other. So let's go read Zechariah chapter 9 verses 1 to 7, because Zechariah chapter 9 is so important. Prophetic scriptures in Zechariah chapter 9. And so in Zechariah chapter 9 verses 1 to 7 we read, The messenger of the word of Yahuwah against the land of Hadrach and Damascus is its resting place, when the eye of man and all the tribes of Israel are on Yahuwah. And Hamath also borders to it Tzor and Sidon, though they were very wise. So understand, here he's talking about He's going to ravage the Philistines. So we've read scriptures already where he's going to come up against the Philistines. To cut off from Tzor and Sidon is what it said in Jeremiah chapter 47 verses 4. And here he's saying, and it says, and Hamath also the borders on it, Tzor and Sidon, though they were very wise. For Tzor built herself a tower, heaped up silver like the dust, and gold like the mud of the streets. See, Yahuwah shall dispossess her, and he shall strike her power in the sea, and she shall be consumed by fire. So you see, destruction. These are all those in the north. And Amamza shall settle in Ashdod, so I shall cut off the pride of the Philistines. So there he says again, I shall cut off the pride of the Philistines. So these Palestinians that are wanting to raise themselves up, that want to stand up against the nation of Eretz Israel, and all those that join hands with the Palestinian, all these that are the enemies of Israel, these Arab nations that basically you can say that they are the ones that will raise up from Edom, that want to stand with Edom against his people, and shall take away his blood from his mouth and the abominations from between his teeth, and he shall remain, even he, to our allure, and he shall be like a leader in Yehuda, and Ekron like a Jebusite. So we must understand that the Father is the one who's going to bring the destruction. So we continue to read now in Jeremiah chapter 47. So understand, this is now prophetic scriptures against nations. So now the Father is not just speaking about Mitzrayim. The Father is not just speaking about only Mitzrayim now, but he's bringing the destruction against the other nations. Boldness shall come upon Azza. So what is Azza? Gaza. Ashkelon shall be cut off with the remnant of their valley. Till when would you cut yourself? So if we read Zephaniah chapter 2 from verses 1 to 7, let's go read Zephaniah, because Zephaniah is a very important prophetic scripture. Zephaniah chapter 2 verses 1 to 7 says, gather together, O nation without shame. Before the law gives birth, the day shall pass like chaff, before the burning wrath of Yahuwah comes upon you. So you see, this is the day of Yahuwah, where the burning wrath of Yahuwah is going to come. Remember, with these seals that are being opened, with the trumpets that are going to sound, with the wrath of Yahuwah that's going to come upon the nations of the world, we must hear what he's saying. Before the law gives birth, the day shall pass on like chaff, before the burning wrath of Yahuwah comes upon you, before the day of wrath of Yahuwah comes upon you. Seek Yahuwah, all you meek of the earth. So understand, what is the word that is being able to give us right now? What is the word that the Father is giving us in Zephaniah chapter 2 verse 3? What is he saying? This be a warning to us here. This is the warning to us here. And he's saying, seek Yahuwah, all you meek ones of the earth, who have done his right ruling. Seek righteousness, seek meekness, if so be that you are hidden in the day of the wrath of Yahuwah. So what is the only thing that is going to keep you from that day of the wrath of Yahuwah? What is it that we need to do? We need to seek righteousness. We need to seek right ruling. I mean, this scripture really bugged me. See, this is the scriptures, it's Zephaniah chapter 1, 2, and 3, and Zechariah chapter 9. These are the scriptures that the Father gave me to a dream that he showed me, that had to do with the lining up of the planets, which has to do with the dream that I had, which has to do with the blood moon that happened. All these scriptures are all the prophetic scriptures that is attached to this dream, that is attached to this end time scriptures. And now how amazing it is that Father is attaching it to Jeremiah for us to understand. Now listen to what he says. Now listen, because he says, see, seek Yahuwah, all you meek ones of the earth, who have done his right ruling. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. If, please make note, if so be that you are hidden in the day of the wrath of Yahuwah. So does it say that you will be hidden? If so be that you will be hidden. If. Now listen to what he says in verse 4. For Gaza is abandoned, and Ashkelon laid waste. Ashdod is driven out at noonday, and Ekron is uprooted. Woe to the inhabitants of the seacoast, the nations of the Kerethites. The word of Yahuwah is against you, O Canaan, land of the Philistines, and I shall destroy you, so that there is no inhabitant. And the seacoast shall be pastures, shepherds, meadows, and enclosures for flocks. And the coast shall be for the remnant of the house of Yehudah. So you see, once again, the seacoast of Ashkelon, Ashdod, and Ekron, and Gaza. But right now they gave away Gaza, and because they gave away the Gaza, that is why they're coming up under such destruction. And the people that live in Ashkelon and the people that live in Ashdod have no peace whatsoever, because those missiles keep coming in there. But he says, and the coast shall be given to the remnant of the house of Yehudah. They shall feed their flocks on it, and evening they shall lie down in the houses of Ashkelon, for Yahuwah their Elohim shall visit them and turn back their captivity. Praise Abba. So now we read verse, so he says, till when would you cut yourself? Listen to what he says. O you sword of Yahuwah, how long till you rest? Put yourself up in your sheath. Rest and be still. O you sword of Yahuwah, how long till you rest? Put yourself up into your sheath. Rest and be still. So let's go read Ezekiel. So what is he saying to Ezekiel? Let's go read Ezekiel chapter 21. So in Ezekiel chapter 21, we read, from Ezekiel chapter 21, verses 3 to 5, he says, and you shall say to the land of Israel, thus says Yahuwah, see, I'm against you. I shall draw my sword out of its sheath and cut off from you the righteous and the wrong. So understand, this is exactly what Jeremiah is speaking. Oh, you sword of Yahuwah, how long till you rest? Put yourself up in your sheath, rest and be still. Now listen, because he's saying, and you shall say to the land of Israel, thus says Yahuwah, see, I'm against you. I shall draw my sword out of its sheath and cut off from you the righteous and the wrong, because I shall cut off from you the righteous and the wrong. Therefore, my sword shall go out in its sheath against all the flesh from south to north. Did we see those horses went from south to north? There we go. And so all flesh shall know that I, Yahuwah, have drawn my sword out of its sheath, not to turn back again. And you, son of man, sigh with the breaking of loins and sigh with bitterness before their eyes. So understand, this is why he is crying out. Why? Because this is exactly what is spoken of in Revelation chapter 6, when he says, and another horse, a fiery red one, went out. So Revelation chapter 6 verse 4, and another horse, a fiery red one, went out, and it was given to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, and that they should slay one another. And a great sword was given to him. So you see, with the sword, they're going to be slain. So understand, whose sword are you going to want to receive? The sword of the Spirit of Yahuwah, that is the word of Yahuwah that comes to cut through the bone and the marrow, to set you apart to Yahuwah? Or are you going to receive the sword of his judgment if you do not receive the sword of his word? The choice is yours today. And this is what the Father is saying. And this is what he's speaking about this. And this is the revelation that he's given me for the scripture. And it says, again, let's read in verses 9 to chapter 21, verses 9 to 11. And it says, chapter 21, verses 9 to 11, Son of man, prophesy, and you shall say, thus says Yahuwah, say, a sword is sharpened and also polished. So you see the two-edged sword that is sharpened and polished. It is sharpened to make a slaughter. It is polished to flash like lightning. Or shall we rejoice, my son? You have despised the rod, every stick. So you see, if we despise the rod through his correction of his word, the sword of destruction is going to come upon us. It is sharpened to make a slaughter. It is polished to flash like lightning. Or shall we rejoice, my son? You have despised the rod, every stick, and he has given it to be polished, to be taken by the hand. The sword is sharpened and polished to be given into the hand of the killer, that rider of the red horse that is going to go forth. But can it be the sword that is given to Yahushua, that was the sword coming out of his mouth, that is going to bring destruction because we did not listen to the word of his mouth that has come forth? And then we read from verses 14, and you, son of man, prophesy and strike your hand, striking, and let the sword come down twice, thrice, the sword for the slain. It is the sword of the slain, the great one which surrounds them. I have set the point of the sword against all their gates, to melt the heart, and to overthrow, and the overthrown be many. Ah, it is made like lightning, keen for slaughter. Sharpen yourself on the right, set yourself on the left, whatever your edge is appointed. And I too shall strike my hands together and cause my wrath to rest. I, Yahuwah, have spoken. So understand, this is what the Father is speaking in verse 7 of Jeremiah. He says, how shall it rest when Yahuwah has given it a command against Ashkelon and against the seashore? There has been appointed it. Now if we read Amos 1, let's go to Amos, because we are looking to see that you see what I'm saying. All these scriptures are the scriptures that the Father is brought together with all of this, that is with these prophetic, these prophets. These prophets are all prophesying these things. So if we go to Amos 1 from verses 6 to 8, and it says, thus says Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Uzzah the Gaza, and for 4, I do not turn it back, because they took into exile, an entire exile, to surrender it to Edom. But I shall send fire upon the wall of Uzzah, and it shall consume its palaces. And I shall cut off the inhabitants from Ashdod, and the one who holds the scepter from Ashkelon. And I shall turn my hand against Ekron, and I and the remnant of the Philistines shall perish, said the Master Yahuwah. So understand, Father has declared and he has decreed great destruction. And that is why I'm saying these scriptures are all tied in, as the Father is going to let these horses of these seals that are going to run, that is going to be already what is seen, the same in Zechariah, these chariots, in Jeremiah, these chariots, they're hearing the sound of the horses. Jeremiah is hearing the sound of the horses. Zechariah is seeing the chariots with the horses. Revelation is opening the seals for those horses. And they are going to run, and they are going to bring much destruction upon the earth. But let us read again Zephaniah as we end off. I want to read it again as we end off this chapter 47. Listen to what he says in verse 3 of Zephaniah chapter 2. Seek Yahuwah, all you meek ones of the earth. who have done his right ruling, who have done, not who have listened, but who has done his right ruling. Seek righteousness, seek meekness, if so be that you are hidden in the day of the wrath of Yahuwah. So praise Abba. If that is what we seek, then we should be those that will be hidden in the day of Abba Yahuwah's wrath. And praise Abba that he's got a promise that he's going to give in Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 7, and the coast shall be for the remnant of the house of Yehudah. So he's going to bring destruction on it, and eventually it shall be given to the remnant of the house of Yehudah, and they shall feed their flocks on it. At evening they lie down in their houses of Ashkelon, for Yahuwah their Eloah shall visit them and turn back their captivity. So praise Abba Yahuwah. He is the one who's going to do this. So may Abba bless you all. May you have a blessed evening. Shalom, shalom.